So far, our journey has taken us into the hidden dimension of the universe, where there are many parallels between science and spirituality. We've talked about reconnecting with our source, where creation is happening all the time, including this very minute. And having realized that God is the word we apply to this source, we've redefined God in a new way. God 2.0, who can be connected with in daily life and expands all traditions. In reality, you're completely connected to God already. God and the universe have something in common. We aren't looking at the universe as outsiders, like children with their noses pressed against a bake shop window. This is a participatory universe, and the things we want to know are part of us. The same is true of God. We aren't outside God, we are participating in God by simply being alive and conscious. Now we come to the first practical point. Would you like to have your own peak experience? In fact, you already had one, in a manner of speaking. You stepped into the light. You experienced amazement. Soon you began to laugh because you were embraced in love. This incredible experience is called being born. Birth brought you into a completely unknown world filled with joy and bliss. It was filled with other things too, but here's the important thing. As adults, how did we block the joy, love, innocence, trust, and wonder that is a natural part of childhood? The blocks aren't a mystery, and they can be removed. One block is painful memories of being wounded. Another block is self-doubt, or the feeling that you don't deserve love and joy. No matter what kind of block you list, from negative beliefs to hardcore skepticism, from fear of the unknown to fear of death, they are what the poet William Blake called mind-forged manacles. The same mind that creates blockages can also remove them. So removing mental obstacles begins the journey to God, which isn't a traditional religious journey, but the hard practical job of building a healthy self, one that is open to new possibilities, one that is curious, not closed off or stuck. Getting past stuckness applies to religious people too, because dogma and certainty are forms of stuckness. The second step is to have a personal vision, because you can't get anywhere if you don't know where you're going. I've stated a vision of peak experiences or transcending. You stop paying so much attention to the world out there and more to the world in here. You value self-awareness, and once you value it, you begin to expand your awareness. The highest vision was stated in the simple words I already mentioned from the Bible. The kingdom of heaven is within, which is another way of saying that God resides in our own awareness, as we discover by going deep enough into the mind. Someone might object in certain ways. Removing inner obstacles sounds too much like psychotherapy, which is hard and unreliable. Going within also sounds like a lifetime of meditation, leaving little room to live a practical life. All of this takes time, with no guarantee that you will ever reach the goal. In the last few years, however, there have been remarkable studies in the neuroscience of spiritual practices. Inside the brain, our biology undergoes significant changes during meditation, for example, extending down to the level of genetic expression. This is crucial because no experience can be real without registering as brain activity and genetic expression. Kicking a football and seeing angels have this in common. They don't have much else in common. So let me offer some remarkable findings from the field of neuroscience. At the Chopra Center, in cooperation with leading scientific institutions, we've taken people and exposed them for meditation for the first time. As they went into meditation, various physiological measurements were made. It was already well documented that people who meditate exhibit better heart health, lower blood pressure, increased alpha waves in the brain associated with creativity and aha moments, along with reduced stress hormones. What we didn't know was how rapidly these effects occur, or how deep they went. As deep as our very genes, it turns out. In the first meditation, thousands of products of genetic activity started to change, and biological improvements in the brain and body were immediately evident. Here's a simple example. There's a specific enzyme known as telomerase that is quite fascinating. At the end of each chromosome is a structure known as a telomere. It seals off the genetic sentence with a chemical period, which functions like an end cap to prevent DNA from fraying. This fraying over time is strongly associated with aging. So a number of researchers have theorized that having intact telomeres could be the single most powerful way to prevent aging. The Chopra Foundation, along with leading scientists from several universities in the United States, have partnered to do research on the biological effects of meditation and contemplative techniques. We have found that the level of telomerase rises significantly when people start to meditate and shows increased levels very quickly after they begin the practice. Telomerase is the protein that builds telomeres and keeps them from fraying, so here we have a key link to anti-aging. In addition, we have found that gene expression changes in the direction of self-regulation and healing, a phenomenon known as homeostasis. Genes that cause inflammation and are directly or indirectly linked to heart disease, obesity, diabetes, autoimmune diseases, and even some forms of cancer are downregulated. This means, in simple terms, that the good genes for healing go up in their activity, and the bad genes that cause disease go down in their activity. And this from the simple act of getting in touch with your own source. What's especially important about this kind of research is that it takes the mystery out of meditation. Many people still consider meditation esoteric, Eastern, and suitable only for yogis and swamis. But I'm excited about what these findings say about anyone's brain. Every experience occurs through our brain, from tasting orange juice to falling in love. And God can't escape this truth. Every spiritual tradition must also register in the brain. So when you improve brain function, you're opening a window to higher consciousness. When you are living away from your source, you don't have much control over your reality other than moving things around on the surface. As you get closer to the source, however, you're contacting the womb of creation. Your mind begins to connect with cosmic consciousness or God. Then the power of your intentions becomes much stronger. In the field of consciousness, the power of intention is a non-religious way of expressing how prayers work. Just as we have now a new model for God, there is a new model for prayer. What makes any intention come true? What is the secret of prayers getting answered? Three vital elements are at work. How deep into the mind is the intention or prayer coming from? How steady is your focus? How fluid is your intention? And are you willing to let go? When you perfect these three things, the power of intention becomes real and useful. Let's go into each element. Depth of mindful awareness or transcendence. Like a river that runs fast on the surface but much more slowly near the bottom, the mind is conceived of as both active and still, even though it's the same mind. The stillness is present, for example, in the space between thoughts. When you're accustomed to experiencing your mind only through activity, which means sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts, the silent source of the mind has been missed. The whole point of Eastern meditation practices and also the centering prayers of Benedictine monks is to reacquaint a person with this source. The more often you dive into silent mind, the deeper your intentions are coming from when you aren't meditating. What helps mindful awareness? Meditation, calm, peaceful surroundings, lack of mental agitation, absence of stress, minimal distractions, self-acceptance, and self-awareness. What hurts mindful awareness? Well, the opposite of what I've just said. The next is focused awareness. Calling up an intention is natural to everyone's mind. The key is that the intention has to be one-pointed. That is, your desire doesn't conflict with other desires or get dissipated in mental restlessness. To be alert, sharp, and clear should be the goal. We've all experienced moments of knowing exactly what we want and never losing focus as long as our desire holds our attention. What helps focused awareness? Clear thinking, acting purposefully, not losing sight of the goal, confidence, the ability to stick with a mental task, follow through, and diligence. This is best explained through martial arts and yoga, which help in mind-body coordination. What hurts focused awareness? Multitasking, mental confusion, conflicted desires, lack of self-knowledge, fantasy and daydreaming, short attention span, a craving to escape the self. Next is fluid awareness. Finally, you remain open-minded, going with the flow, lightness of being. Now, there seems to be a hitch here. Holding a steady focus and being in a flexible, fluid state of mind look like opposites. It's like asking water to be ice and liquid at the same time. But mind isn't a substance. It exhibits complementary states that seem opposite but actually work together. In this case, an open mind that can adapt to any response is compatible with steady focus. No better example exists than playing a video game, where the player is fiercely intent of scoring points but must be open to every surprising, unexpected event in order to reach a high score. In everyday life, a desire is one-pointed at its inception. But you let it go and await whatever response comes to you. There is a skill involved, learning to view the world out there as a response to the signals you send to it from in here. What helps fluid awareness? Being relaxed and easy, mindfulness, acceptance of things as they are, putting a value on being, on trust, believing in the wisdom of uncertainty, allegiance to a higher level of intelligence that organizes reality. And what hurts fluid awareness? Tension, anticipation, controlling yourself and others, rigidity, insistence on rules and routines, obsession, compulsive behavior, inability to believe that the universe supports you. So the ingredients that go into the spontaneous fulfillment of desire, the power of intention or prayer, and they're all the same thing, can be summarized in the following techniques. Stillness of mind, focused awareness or attention, intention, letting go. Nothing could be simpler. Stillness of mind allows you to be with your source. Focused awareness takes you away from distractions. Intention from this level and letting go have infinite organizing power. This means that the intention organizes its own fulfillment as long as you do not interfere. The interference comes from not letting go. There's a lot more about how to implement these techniques to find the answers to your prayers in our program materials. Now we've reached the end of our journey together. You've discovered that God has a future if you choose to create it. You can train your brain to make peak experiences possible. You can connect with your source and deepen that connection. You can transform your life by the power of intention or prayer. There are ancient traditions of wisdom that gave us this knowledge, and with the help of science, the knowledge can be validated. So what now? You have the choice to explore your link to cosmic consciousness or God 2.0. There is no more joyful experience than discovering that the truths of spirituality in every tradition, East and West, are valid and open to you right now. To follow your bliss is just as vital now as it was when Joseph Campbell first uttered these words. Meditation opens the door. Self-awareness carries you along the path. Fulfillment makes you whole. My ideal of the spiritual life was defined by Rumi in a single profound exhortation which applies to all of us. Come out of the circle of time into the circle of love. That we each can heed a timeless voice inside us is the greatest fruit of a spiritual life. Before we end, let me go back to the secret I shared with you at the beginning of the program. I hope you remember it. Here we go again. Everything in the entire universe has a single source. Your innermost being is that source. When your awareness is unblocked and free, God is not difficult to find. In fact, God is impossible to avoid. The divine is within. Thank you.